Hello, everybody. I hope y'all are doing well. Today is 11/19/2024, and the time is 9:09 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have y'all looking at Google Earth, and today we're going to look at some of the disasters and news stories around the world. So, as we are looking, we're going to look at New Zealand, where a diver was killed in a shark attack in the Chatham Islands. This attack occurred on 11/19, and this is according to a police statement. It made it the first fatal shark attack in the country in nearly 4 years. Emergency services were alerted around midday on Tuesday after reports that a man had been injured by a shark while diving from a boat. He was taken to the Chatham Island Hospital in critical condition, but later succumbed to his injuries. Police have not released the man's identity, but extended their condolences. Police thoughts are with the family, stated a statement. The death has been referred to the coroner for further investigation. Chatham Islands, located about 800 kilometers or 500 miles from New Zealand's mainland, is known for its rich marine ecosystem and is a popular destination for divers and fishers. This marks the first fatal shark attack in New Zealand since 2021, when a 19-year-old Kayla Marlowe was killed by a great white at the Waihi Beach on North Island. At least 29 people in New Zealand have died of shark attacks since 1860, according to one database. While sharks are often feared, they only kill about 6 people per year on average, according to the International Shark Attack, or ISAF. Last year, 14 people were killed in shark attacks, up from 9 in 2022. And as we can see, this is the area. This is the Chatham Islands. And we back out further, we can see this is where New Zealand is. We move on to our next story. This story is occurring in the Netherlands. We do not have a direct area for this one so far, but this is the first flu outbreak in nearly a year has been confirmed in Gelderland. The first outbreak of bird flu in nearly a year has been confirmed at a biological poultry farm in Gelderland. An estimated 23,000 laying hens will have to be destroyed after the disease was detected at a farm in Putten. 13 other poultry farms in the vicinity will be tested for virus, and farmers in a 10-kilometer radius have been ordered to keep their birds indoors. Agricultural Minister Femke Wormsma said it was a heavy blow for the farmers concerned. Unfortunately, after a long period, we are having to deal with another business of bird flu infections. We are taking appropriate steps and keeping a close eye on the situation. Farmers organization LTO called on the government to impose a nationwide ban on keeping birds outdoors to prevent the disease from spreading. It is a setback, but at the same time, it's not totally unexpected, said the chair of LTO Poultry Division. Kees de Long. This morning a case was confirmed just over the German border in Cleve. We have called on the ministry to compel everyone to keep their poultry indoors. Our next story is in Ghana, where cholera has killed 7 in the central region. A total of 7 deaths out of 47 confirmed cases of cholera have been recorded in the central region. The number of suspected cases in the region, according to the Regional Health Directorate, as of yesterday was 720. Briefing the media in the Cape Coast, the acting Central Regional Health Director, Dr. Angenes Akima Anane, explained 8 districts had recorded confirmed cases of cholera in the region. The district with confirmed cases, she indicated, was Cape Coast, Awutu Sain, Awutu Sain East, Gamoa East, Mfantsiman, Hermang Lower Dinkira, Afutu, and Agon West. And this is just marking the city where cholera has killed 7. Our next story is in Kenya, where urban mosquito has sparked malaria surge in East Africa. The spread of mosquito in East Africa that thrives in urban area and is immune to insecticide is fueling a surge in malaria that could reverse decades of progress against the disease, experts say. Africa accounted for about 95% of 249 million malaria cases and 608,000 deaths worldwide in 2022, according to the most recent data from the World Health Organization, which said children under 5 accounted for 80% of deaths in the region. But the emergence of an invasive species of mosquito on the continent could massively increase those numbers. Anopheles stephensi is native to parts of South Asia and the Middle East, but was spotted for the first time in the tiny Horn of Africa state of Djibouti in 2012. Djibouti had all but eradicated malaria, only to see it make a slow but steady return over the following years, hitting more than 70,000 cases in 2020. Then Stephensi arrived in neighboring Ethiopia, and the WHO says it is key to an unprecedented surge. From 4.1 million malaria cases and 527 deaths last year to 7.3 million cases and 1,157 deaths during January 1st and October 20th, 2024. Unlike other species which are seasonal and prefer rural areas, Stephensi thrives year-round on urban settings, breeding in man-made water storage tanks, roof gutters, and even air conditioning units. It appears to be highly resistant to insecticides and bites earlier in the evening than other carriers. That means bed nets, up to now the prime weapon against malaria, may be much less effective. The invasion and spread of Anopheles stephensi has the potential to change the malaria landscape in Africa and reverse decades of progress we've made towards malaria control. Marina Van Keenson, Malaria Division Chief for USAID, the fear is that stephensi will infest dense cities like Mombasa on Kenya's Indian Ocean coast and Sudan's capital, Khartoum, with only 2020 study warning it could eventually reach 126 million city dwellers across Africa. Only last month, Egypt was declared malaria-free by WHO after a century-long battle against the disease, a status that could be threatened by Stephensi's arrival. Much remains unknown, however. Stephensi was confirmed as president in Kenya in late 2022, but has so far stayed in hotter, drier areas without reaching the higher altitude capital, Nairobi. We don't fully understand the biology and behavior of this mosquito. Possibly it is climate driven and requires higher temperatures, but much more research is needed. He calls for increasing funding for capturing and testing mosquitoes and for educating the public on prevention measures such as covering water receptacles. The spread of Stephensi could dovetail with other worrying trends, including increased evidence of drug-resistant malaria record in Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Eritrea. The arrival of resistance is imminent, said Dorothy Ahu, who's head of tropical and vector-borne disease in Africa, who is working with countries to diversify treatment programs to delay resistance. She said, a new malaria variant is evading tests used to diagnose the disease. The increased transmission Stephensi is driving could potentially help accelerate the spread of other threats such as drug resistance and other mutations in the parasite that leads it to be less detectable by our most widely used diagnosis, said Vakantesson at USAID. Another add challenge is the lack of coordination between the African government, Atu said, who is working on a more continental approach. But Mumgo in Kenya said more political will was needed. We shall share information as scientists with colleagues in neighboring countries, he said, but we need to reach the highest level. We need cross-border collaborations and data sharing. And this area is East Africa. The area that is affected is multiple countries, so it is a wide event. Our next area is Pakistan, and there's 56 new cases of dengue being reported in Lahore in 24 hours. Pakistan's health department has reported 56 new cases of dengue in the past 24 hours in Lahore. The Department of Health Care reported 7,451 dengue cases in Pakistan's Punjab province this year. Rawalpindi saw a major rise in the cases of dengue. Rawalpindi reported 47 new cases, with 3 cases in Chakwal and a single case reported in Attak and Multan. A spokesperson for the health department assured the public that the hospitals are well equipped with necessary medications and ready to handle the toll of patients. Health officials also urged residents to maintain proper hygiene, remove stagnant water from around their homes to prevent the spread of dengue. They further called on public cooperation with health teams working in high-risk areas. Recently, Pakistan's health department reported 65 cases of dengue in Rawalpindi district of Pakistan. 4 cases were reported from Chawal, while 2 cases were reported from Siklat. Meanwhile, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa registered 891 cases of dengue, with the total cases rising to 3,000 mark. The locals were criticized the government over the ongoing rise of cases and said health authorities only remember to spray for mosquitoes when the season is in full swing. Our area is dengue hotspot, with numerous cases reported each year. Yet there has been no awareness campaign or fumigation results so far. To support the public, health department has set up the following preventive measures to help control the spread of dengue in Punjab. The World Health Organization has claimed prevention and control of dengue depends on the vector control. There is no specific treatment for dengue, and early detection and access to proper medical care greatly lowers fatality rates for severe dengue. And the area being affected is Lahore, Punjab. So this is Lahore, you guys. This area is huge. Our next place being affected is in the Baltic Sea, where undersea cables were cut between Germany and Finland. And the cause of the broken underwater cables in the Baltic Sea is not yet known. The Sea Lion 1 cable is the only undersea cable connecting Finland to the Central Europe authorities in Finland are investigating the cause of the broken underwater cable in the Baltic Sea, which runs southwest to Germany. State-owned data service provider Cinia reported on Monday that a fault had been detected at the Sea Lion 1 cable. As a result of the fault, the communication connections running on the Sea Lion 1 submarine cable are interrupted, the company said, adding that the cause of the disruption was being investigated. The Finnish Broadcasting Corporation Yle cited Somali Bergstrom, communications chief at the Finnish National Cyber Security Center Trafecom, as also having confirmed the break. The reasons are under investigation. Disturbances occur from time to time, and there can be various reasons. For example, they're susceptible to weather and damage caused by shipping. The essential thing is that the problems are identified and corrective measures are taken. He said, however, it is good to keep in mind that data connections out of Finland go to several different places. Now one of these connections is broken, which may burden others, but the effects are probably not visible to the average human. The Sea Lion 1 cable runs from nearly 1,200 kilometers or 750 miles from the German port of Rostock to the Finnish capital, Helsinki. It was commissioned in 2016 and is the only undersea communications cable running from the Nordic country to Central Europe, according to Cinia. In October 2023, the Baltic Connector gas pipeline between Finland and Estonia was damaged, in what Finnish authorities at the time said was likely to have been a deliberate act. However, Helsinki and Beijing have been engaged in diplomatic talks since October of last year over a possible role of Hong Kong registered cargo vessel in the damage caused to the pipeline. Also in October 2023, Sweden reported that an undersea cable with Estonia had been damaged. Both Finland and Sweden joined NATO following Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, having been neutral throughout the Cold War. Let's see what else we can find out about the underwater cable being damaged. See, there was actually two that were damaged. So, let's give you some more information. Helsinki, Stockholm, Vilnius. Two underwater fiber optic communication cables in the Baltic Sea, including one linking Finland and Germany, were severed, raising suspicions of sabotage by bad actors, countries, and companies involved, said Monday. The episode recalled other incidents in the same waterway that authorities have probed as potentially malicious, including damage to gas pipelines and undersea cables last year and 2020 explosions of the North Sea gas pipelines. And this is coming from Reuters. The 1,200-kilometer or 745-mile cable connecting Helsinki to German port of Rostock stopped working around 0200 GMT on Monday, Finnish state-controlled cybersecurity and telecoms company Cinia said. A 218-kilometer or 135-mile internet link between Lithuania and Sweden's Gotland island went out of service at about 0800 GMT on Monday, according to Lithuania's Telia Lietuvia, part of Sweden's Telia company group. Finland and Germany said in a joint statement that they were deeply concerned about the severed undersea cable and were investigating an incident that immediately raised suspicions of intentional damage. Europe's security is threatened by Russia's war against Ukraine and the hybrid warfare of malicious actors, the joint statement said without naming the actors. Safeguarding our shared critical infrastructure is vital to our security and resilience of our societies, Germany and Finland said. Located in northern Europe, the Baltic Sea is an active commercial shipping route and is ringed by 9 countries, including Russia. The damage to the Finland-Germany cable occurred near the southern tip of Sweden's Åland Island and could require 5 to 15 days to repair. Senia's chief executive, Ari Jussi Kanipila, Pila? Kanipila, told the news conference. Last year, a subsea gas pipeline and several telecommunications cables running along the bottom of the Baltic Sea were severely damaged in an incident raising alarm bells in the region. Investigators of the 2023 case of the Finland and Estonia have named a Chinese container ship that they believe was dragging its anchor and caused the damage, but they have not said whether the damage was accidental or intentional. In 2022, the Nord Stream gas pipeline linking Russia to Germany and the Baltic Sea was destroyed by explosion in a case that remains under investigations by German authorities. So there's some extra news on what is going on here. And I guess apparently this is the area where there was the damage here. Okay, our next story. Next story happened in the United States. A man is accused of killing two in a random stabbing in Manhattan. The stabbings, which left a third person critically injured, occurred in Manhattan, New York. It occurred across a broad swath of the borough over several hours on Monday morning. A 51-year-old man killed two people and critically wounded a third in a series of random stabbings in Manhattan early Monday. The officials said the man, whom the police did not immediately identify, was arrested shortly after a third attack based on a tip from a cab driver. The driver saw the stabbing and pointed the assailant out to the police. When the man was taken into custody, he had two knives and was covered with blood, and his clothes were also splattered with blood. The man, who the police said appeared to be homeless, had been arrested 20 times in the past, most recently on grand larceny charges in October. Mayor Eric Adams, speaking at a news conference, was joined by police leaders. Said officials were still reviewing the man's records, but there was serious questions on why he was out on the streets. The mayor, who said the man had serious mental health issues, today they have three innocent New Yorkers who are the victims of terrible, terrible assault. Mr. Adams said the stabbings, he said, were a clear example of a criminal justice system and mental health system that continues to fail New Yorkers. The stabbing spree began shortly after 8:30 a.m. on West 19th Street near the 8th Avenue, where a knife-wielding assailant without warning stabbed 36-year-old construction worker in the abdomen outside a job site where he was employed. Joseph Kenney, the police department chief detective, said at a news conference the construction worker was taken to Bellevue Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased. Chief Kenney said about 2 hours later the attacker struck again, this time on East 30th Street near Franklin D. Roosevelt Drive, repeatedly stabbing a 68-year-old man who was fishing on the East River at the time. That victim was also pronounced deceased at Bellevue Hospital. The third attack occurred about a half hour later when a 36-year-old woman was stabbed several times on 42nd Avenue and First Avenue near the United Nations. She was taken to New York Presbyterian Weill Cornell Medical Center in critical condition. The attacker was arrested several blocks away after the taxi driver, who had seen what he thought was a robbery, alerted police officials. Let's pray for the woman that she will make it through this horrible ordeal. Our next story comes from New Orleans, where 12 people were shot and 2 were killed. We have some bad stories today. 2 people were killed and 10 others were injured when gunfire erupted along a parade route and celebration in a New Orleans neighborhood. According to local police and witnesses, no arrests were immediately made. The first incident happened at 3:38 p.m. on Sunday when gunfire erupted at the city trends in the 1800 block of Almonaster Avenue in the St. Roch neighborhood during the Nine Times Social Aid and Pleasure Club's second line. Responding police found 8 gunshot victims at the scene, and all were taken to the area hospital for treatment. What they know so far and the facts are still fluid, but apparently a car was involved, a suspect car, and shots were fired into the crowd. What they know is 2 weapons were used by the ballistics that were left at the scene. About 45 minutes later, the second shooting occurred on the bridge at the intersection of Almonaster and Florida Avenues. 1 victim died at the scene, and second victim was pronounced dead at a local hospital. A third victim is said to be in stable condition. It is not immediately clear where the 12th victim was shot because no cars were able to be on the bridge. They know that the shooting happened within the crowd. They said it was not known yet whether the 2 shootings were related, and no arrests were immediately made. That is crazy. Anyways, this is around the area where this shooting happened. Let's pray for this country. Okay, so this next story I have not marked yet, but this one is New Zealand. 42,000 demonstrate to support for Maori rights. Tens of thousands of people in New Zealand took to the streets to protest against a bill that would change the country's founding treaty between Indigenous Maori and the British Crown. The bill is unlikely to become law. Now let's put in our latitude, longitude here so we can go to the right area. This is happening in Wellington, and this is a story for today. The bill is unlikely to become law. Tens of thousands of people in New Zealand gathered in front of Parliament in Wellington on Tuesday to show dissent against a bill they said would dilute Indigenous people's rights. Chants supporting the Indigenous Maori rang out across New Zealand's capital as at least 42,000 people demonstrated in what is one of the country's largest ever protests to oppose a bill. A 9-day community march known as Hikoi began in northern New Zealand ahead of Tuesday's rally. People have journeyed to Wellington on foot and in cars to participate in the demonstration. Over 203,650 people signed a petition opposing the bill, which was presented to the parliament. Even the city's mayor joined the protest. It's different to when I was a child participant, Chanel Bob said. We're stronger now. Our Tamariki is stronger now. They know who we are. They're proud of who they are, she said, using the Maori word for children. Maori people make up 20% of New Zealand's 5.3 million population, but have higher rates of deprivation, incarceration, and poor health care outcomes when compared to the rest. The Treaty Principles Bill was introduced at the Parliament earlier this month by legislators looking to reinterpret a 184-year-old treaty signed between the British and the indigenous Maori tribes. Excuse me. The bill was championed by the Libertarian ACT New Zealand Party, a junior partner in the ruling Right Centre coalition government. The ACT believes the treaty in its current interpretation, discriminates against non-Indigenous citizens. The treaty, which lays down how British and Maori chiefs agreed to govern, still guides policy today. Though the bill does not have sufficient support in Parliament to become legislation, protesting citizens say it is necessary for them to raise their concerns against the settlement. ACT's coalition partners, the National Party and the New Zealand's First Parties, agreed to support the legislation through the first of the three readings last week. However, both have now pulled out. Some of the nation's most respected lawyers have also flagged the bill that would set back race relations by decades. Bare-chested men draped in traditional feather cloaks and horse riders waved the red, white, and black Maori flag. Protesters gathered on the lawns of Parliament, played reggae music, and delivered speeches, challenging the government to come out and face them. ACT leader David Seymour, who authored the bill and is Maori himself, but opposes special treatment of Indigenous people, came into forecourt of Parliament with a few other politicians. In response, thousands started chanting "Kill the Bill," which was followed by a haka or Maori war dance. "I'm here for my grandchildren, my children, and for their children," said Heona Hadfield from Wellington, who is marching in protest for the first time. Our next story is in Germany. Russian opposition in exile holds Berlin protest march. Alexei Navalny's widow, Yulia Navalny, the recently released prisoners Vladimir Kara-Murza and Ilya Yashin are leading the demonstration in the German capital. Protesters plan to finish outside the Russian embassy. Protesters called for an end to the war in Ukraine and the ouster of Russian President Vladimir Putin in a demonstration in Berlin on Sunday afternoon. Three prominent opposition figures now in exile: Alexei Navalny's widow, Yulia Navalny, and Vladimir Kara-Murza and Ilya Yashin, both of whom were released in August 1st. Prisoner exchange brokered between Russia and the U.S. and its allies led the march. Protesters carried placards calling for things like victory in Ukraine, Putin's downfall, and freedom for Russia. The procession marched holding a large red banner in front of them reading in English, "No Putin, no war." Several hundred people have answered this call to attend the protest just near Potsdamer Platz in the heart of Berlin. DW Simon Young said live on site on Sunday. It is an attempt to galvanize the Russians who live outside Russia, many of them here in Berlin and around Germany, who are wanting to express their opposition to Putin and their hopes for an end to the war. Germany is home to around 235,000 Russian citizens, according to the National Statistics Office, in addition to millions of ethnic Germans who immigrated from Eastern Europe and people of Russian descent now holding German citizenship. The protests began on Potsdamer Platz at around 2 p.m. local time on Sunday, moving on via Friedrichstraße, the site of Checkpoint Charlie, crossing between East and West Berlin during the Cold War, and still home to the Russian House, which Moscow described as its cultural embassy in Berlin, towards its culmination near the Russian embassy on Berlin's renowned Unter den Linden Avenue. Yulia Navalny has been thrust into the limelight and Russia's opposition since the news of her husband Alexei Navalny's death in Siberian prison camp in February. She has since said she hopes to take up leadership role in Russia's opposition from abroad. Vladimir Kara-Murza was a protege of the murdered opposition leader Boris Nemtsov and head of the now outlawed Open Russia NGO founded by fellow exile politician and business magnate Mikhail Khodorkovsky, himself a survivor of alleged past poisoning attempts like Navalny. Kara-Murza was jailed and in a series of charges based on his comment opposing the 2022 full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Ilya Yashin used to lead the opposition People's Freedom Party in Russia and was also jailed soon after the invasion of Ukraine, convicted on charges of discrediting the country's military and his criticism of Ukraine's civilian deaths on Bucha, on the outskirts of Kiev. Both of opposition leaders left Russia as part of a prisoner exchange on August 1st. So this is happening in Berlin, and they are doing a serial demonstration and mass movement. Okay, our next one is a chemical explosion in South Africa. It's at a Durban factory and it has left one dead and two seriously injured. One person, and this is the chemical factory here, one person has died following a chemical explosion at a factory in Jacobs, south of Durban. On Monday afternoon, Gareth Jameson from ALS paramedics said just after noon they responded to reports of a chemical explosion on Balfour Road in Jacobs area. Paramedics arrived on scene to find chaos after some sort of chemical had exploded, leaving 3 men injured. He said 2 men were in critical condition. Advanced life support paramedics worked to try and stabilize the 2, including the third person. However, one of the patients went into cardiac arrest due to the nature of his injuries. Despite best efforts by the paramedics, the patient passed away on scene. He said 2 other people were transported to the nearby Durban hospital, one stabilized for further care they required. Jameson said the cause of the explosion is not known and subject to investigation by the South African Police Services. And this was at a Durban factory, so this was the factory here. And it doesn't say what the factory makes, it's just an industrial explosion. So it could have been anything. And right across the street, there's a hostel here. So let's see here. Let's go right there. See, it says quality products, so it doesn't exactly show. This is container parts. So Balfour Road, that says container parts. That just says quality products. So doesn't really answer the question as to what they make. So I was looking at that earlier and I was trying to figure out what kind of products were made there. So it could have been just about anything. Okay, our next story is in Romania. An explosion affects 16 apartments and a kindergarten in Romania. A loud explosion in an apartment building in the municipality of Brăila has been reported by Romania General Inspectorate for Emergency Situations. 16 apartments, 7 cars, and a kindergarten nearby were affected by an explosion. A total of 49 people, which 40 adults and 9 minors, were affected. They spent a night with relatives and refused to be transported by specialized medical center or to a specialized medical center. The owner of the apartment where the explosion occurred is a former prosecutor and a lawyer. The 71-year-old man was taken to a hospital with first-degree burns. A woman suffered a panic attack. The cause of the explosion is being clarified, but it is most likely a gas leak. the area has been secured. So this is the apartment complex here. I did look this up. So this was the apartment area here. And let's see if we can get a closer look here. Let's go here. So my pinpointed here. So I'm guessing these were the apartments on this side. Don't think they're on that side, so these are the apartments on this side. Our next story comes out of North Carolina where a house has exploded. And it pinpointed here, however, the house was actually over here. So I've got the neighborhood. I just don't have the exact house. So pick one. A house exploded and caught fire in suburban Charlotte, North Carolina, injuring two people, authorities said. Reports came in Sunday morning of an explosion at a home in Weddington that was felt across Union County, the sheriff's office said. First responders found severe damage to part of a home, and I've got a picture. Okay, so this is the picture of the house. A man who was inside when the explosion happened was burned and taken to a hospital in Winston-Salem, where he was stable Sunday night. His wife was treated at the hospital and released. Both are expected to fully recover. County officials said they believe the explosion was accidental, but an investigation continues. And I don't know which house it was, so still not sure, but it was one of these houses because this is Weddington area here. So I did look this area up on Google Earth to find the right area that we are talking about. Oh, that's kind of cool. Laser art. Okay. Our next story is two firefighters are injured battling a two-alarm fire in Astoria, Queens. Two firefighters were injured while battling a fire in Astoria, Queens on Monday, according to officials. The fire department in New York said the two-alarm fire broke out at a two-story building located at 1832 Steinway Street just before 7 p.m. Crews responded to the scene and found a fire on the roof of the building. Two firefighters suffered minor injury while fighting the flames and were taken to Elmhurst Hospital. The fire was placed under control around 8:20 p.m. The cause remains under investigation. So this is the building here, and let's see if we can get a street view. We cannot get, oh, we can. Let's get a street view here. Okay, we get a street view. And this is the building here. So this was the building on this side. Two-story building. This was a two-story building here. So maybe it's the one at the end. Yeah, that one there is this one. Because this is a two-story building here. So there you go. This is this one right there. Okay, our next story, 95 shops destroyed, 54 vendors displaced. And this one is in Jamaica. Some 95 shops were this morning destroyed in a massive inferno which ravaged sections of Purnell, Charles Arcade, and downtown Kingston, and this is in Jamaica. The affected shops were occupied by 54 vendors. Divisional Commander of Kingston and St. Andrews Division of Jamaica Fire Brigade, Senior Superintendent Patrick Godin, said that personnel responded to the fire called at 7:08 a.m., which saw one unit from the Trench Town Fire Station going to the scene. Godin said reinforcement was called in and given how big the fire was. On arrival, they discovered that the fire was burning out of control, and they subsequently called for assistance from Rolling Town, Halfway Tree, and York Park fire stations. A total of 46 firefighters attended the scene, and it took 2 hours to bring the fire under control, gaining access to the stalls by virtue of the locks that they had placed on them. Some shops had multiple locks on the grill, so it was a challenge, but they eventually were able to overcome that aspect of it. The cause of the fire is being investigated. Let's see if there's any ground views here. I don't think there will be, and there is not. But when looking at this area, I was trying to figure it out. I think that this might be it here. This is Pennell Charles Arcade here. So I don't know whether they're ones on the outside or if it's on the insides because I couldn't find anything other than these little, looks like little buildings, but there's no street view, so I couldn't look at anything more, so I couldn't tell. I just know when I googled it, that was what I could find here. Our next story is Swansea. It is in United Kingdom. Swansea fire on a high-rise building prompted major emergency service response. A fire at a multi-story building in Newcut Road, Swansea, which is in the United Kingdom, prompted a fire and police response. A fire at a multi-story building in Swansea Centre. At least 11 fire crews were called to the blaze in Newcut Road, with people advised to avoid the area after the incident began shortly at 4 p.m. on Monday. A statement from Mid and West Wales Fire and Rescue Service said at 4:08 p.m. on Monday, November 18th, Mid and West Wales Fire and Rescue Services crews from Swansea Central, Port Talbot, Neath, Portadway, Llanelly, Morriston, Carmarthen fire stations were called to the incident on Newcut Road in Swansea city centre. Crews responded to a fire on the third floor of a multi-story property. Crews utilized 4 breathing apparatus sets, 1 main jet, and one thermal imaging camera to extinguish fire. All persons were accounted for. Crews were involved in ventilating the property after the fire was extinguished and conducted searches of other floors. Crews began leaving the scene at 5:15. The A483 Newcut Road ID closed in both directions. There is queuing traffic between Strand and the railway bridge. So anyways, this is the buildings that they were talking about here. I don't know exactly which one it is, But those are the buildings there. And let's see, do we have a view from the street? So these are the buildings that they were talking about, and it was the third floor. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. So it would have been the third floor. So it would have been around here, I'm guessing, around the third floor. So it'd be 1, 2, 3. So around here. Yeah, but I think this would count as the first floor. So maybe this would be the second floor. But this second floor here wouldn't have a room, wouldn't have windows here. Okay, so anyway, these are the high rises there. Uh, our next story is in Norway. This is the Norway Sea. It's in the North Sea, sorry. North Sea, Norway's massive Johan Sverdrup oil field has been shut down by a power outage. Norway's Equinor open new tab has halted output from its Johan Sverdrup oil field, Western Europe's largest, due to an onshore power outage, the company said on Monday. 1 second, I need a drink. Oil prices rose on Monday, adding to earlier gains stemming from escalation in the Russia-Ukraine war. Brent crude futures were up $1.88 or 2.65% at 72.92 a barrel by 1,547 Greater Mountain Time, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were at 68.8 a barrel, up from $1.78 or 2.66%. And what do we need to know that? An An Equinox spokesperson said work was underway to reestablish production, but it was not immediately clear when it would resume. The outage was caused by smoke developing at an onshore electricity converter station, which sends power to the phase 1 of the Johan Sverdrup development. The situation was quickly clarified, but resulted in a temporary shutdown of production on the whole Johan Sverdrup field. He said the Sverdrup Phase 2 converter station, which supplies power to Sverdrup and other fields in the North Sea's Utsira High area, was operating as normal, and the spokesperson added, Equinor said last month it expected the Sverdrup field to come off peak and production levels around 755,000 barrels of equal equivalent per day from early next year. Equinox is operator and owns 42.63% of the Sverdrup license, while Aker BP owns Newtab holds of 31.57% of the Norwegian state-owned oil firm Petoro. 17.36%, and Total Energies opens new tab, holds the remaining 8.44%. Anyways, just so you know, they've been shut down by a power outage, so that means that money is being lost. So it's a breakdown of energy supply systems right now until it's back online. And our last story that I have for you guys is about carrots. It's in the United States, and oh, actually, let's do this one real quick. 3 workers have died in a Hyundai car test in South Korea. Now, I have not put this one in, so we're going to leave the carrots up here for a minute. And this one is in South Korea. 3 workers have died in a Hyundai car test in South Korea. 3 workers are reported to have died of suffocation. Police are investigating the incident at the plant in southeastern city of Ulsan, which is Hyundai's biggest manufacturing facility. 3 workers died during a car test in the Hyundai factory's complex in South Korea on Tuesday afternoon, police said. The 3 were found unconscious in a car while they were testing it in the chamber of the plant at the southeastern city of Ulsan, according to a union official. 2 of the workers were Hyundai researchers involved in car testing at Hyundai Number 4 factory, which is the company's biggest manufacturing facility, a local police officer said. The officer reported police and labor ministry were investigating the incident. According to local reports, the workers died of suffocation. The plant has its own port and an annual production capacity of 1.4 million vehicles, including exports of 1.1 million units. So, well, I wonder what happened to them. Okay, so our last story on here. One death reported in an E. coli outbreak linked to carrots. Jeez, this is here in the United States, guys. So the affected areas are Washington, Oregon, California, Wyoming, Colorado, Texas, Minnesota, Missouri, Arkansas, Michigan, Ohio, New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia, my state, North Carolina, and South Carolina. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have issued a warning about deadly E. coli outbreak linked to carrots. A total of 39 people have been infected with E. coli in 18 states. 15 were hospitalized and 1 person died, according to the CDC. Officials said organic whole or baby carrots sold by Grimway Farms are linked to the outbreak. Grimway Farms recalled the implicated carrots. They need to be arrested quick. They've been implicated. Multiple brands and sizes of bagged organic whole and baby carrots have been recalled. Illnesses have been reported in Washington, Oregon, California, Wyoming, Colorado, Texas, Minnesota, Missouri, Arkansas, Michigan, Ohio, New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. The company issued a voluntary recall of the following products: baby organic carrots, best if used by dates ranging from 9/11/2024 to 11/12/2024. The brands are 365, Bunny Love, Cal Organic, Compliments, Full Circle, Good and Gather, Greenwise, Grimway Farms, Marketside, Nature's Promise, O Organic, President's Choice, Raley's, Simple Truth, Sprouts, Trader Joe's, Wegmans, Wholesome, and Pantry. Whole organic carrots were available for purchase in stores approximately from 8/14/2024 through 10/23/2024. No best if used by dates were on the bags of the organic whole carrots. Brands were 365, Bunny Loves, Cal Organic, Compliments, Full Circle, Good and Gather, Greenwise, Marketside, Nature's Promise, O Organic, President's Choice, Simple Truth, Trader Joe's, Wegmans, Wholesome, Pantry. Okay, so those are all the carrots that you should not be eating right now. And if you have any of those carrots, you can probably either take them back or throw them out. Just don't eat them. Whatever you do, don't eat them. Okay, so that concludes the bad news that I have for today. I can tell you right now, uh, there's extreme rainfall going on in Bolivia and in Indonesia and in Tonga and in St. Lucia, and in New Zealand, the Secretary Islands, and in Milford, New Zealand. Okay, so what else we got going on? All right, so let's take a look at earthquakes real quick. Let's see if I can get my EMSC to pop up because my EMSC is not popping up today. My oh, there it is. Okay, so let's see if we got anything interesting on here. Any big earthquakes? Any big quakes? Got a 4.6 in the Java Sea, a 4.6 Volcano Islands, Japan region. We're just looking back through time here. We have a 3.2 Gulf of California that'll reach for California. 4.3 in the Norwegian Sea, 4.1 in the Norwegian Sea. Not so many earthquakes for the past 12 hours. Usually I see more than this. Looks like Texas and Turkey have been busy. Okay, so that's our quake news. Let's see Oregon Live. Excuse me. See if we've had anything on the East Coast I've been missing. Oh, we had a little quake up here. What's this? We had this one yesterday. A 1.3, 5 kilometers southwest of North Stratford, Connecticut. Some details here. Let's go see what's in that area. Oh, I'm trying to get the date here. Let's put this on Google Earth. Google the Earth. Let's see what's over there. Some houses. Hey, look, those are some big houses. Got big houses over here. And can't go there. It's a nice looking house, though. It's a big house. Oh, that's a big house. That's a huge house. It looks like a huge house with huge garages here. Well, we got a 4-car garage. Okay, so anyway, coolio. Okay, so anyway, that's where a small earthquake has occurred. What else we got? That was in Connecticut. We've had a 2.4 in Alabama. Let's go take a peek at that one. Boy, that house was huge. Excuse me. This is in the middle of the forest. Not in there. Looks like there's a road there, but who knows where that's going. What we got up here? What is this? Okay. Not farming, but it looks like they've been cutting out the trees up here. Taking off the tops of the mountains. Maybe building houses. Doubt it, but yeah. Anywho, well, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope y'all are doing well. Please take good care of yourselves. Remember, when there's bad news in the world, there's always something good out there. And when your life feels like something bad's going on, think of the positives. Anyways, you guys, I hope y'all are doing well. Please be safe. Please take good care of yourselves. Sorry I was not around yesterday. I got so hung up doing stuff, and I decided I was going to dig out my Christmas decorations and get them ready and stuff. Thought I would start thinking about decorating my house. So I went to get into my storage, and guess what I found out? I found my Christmas tree box. My Christmas tree's missing. My Christmas tree is totally poofed, but the box was there. Just don't know where the tree went, you know. Eh. So, anywho, that's fun. But my granddaughter had a blast helping me go through stuff because I'm going to, I think I'm going to decorate the lights on the outside of my balcony because they do the lighting of the streets around Thanksgiving and then through Christmas time. So I want to be part of the lighting of the streets. So I thought I would decorate my balcony. So I'm gonna do that. And yeah, but no tree. I don't know what I'm gonna do this year. Anywho, uh, I don't know where it went. It's just like, why do I have a box? I have a box and no tree. An empty box in storage with no tree. And I can't even think of what might have happened to it. I'm like, this doesn't make sense, but that's okay. We'll figure this out. Anyways, you guys, if you like my channel, please give it a like. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please share the video. Um, Check in every other day or every 2 days. I tend to make these videos on what's going on in the world for bad news and disasters. And we'll start adding some good news in to these videos. Um, just seems like there's a whole lot of bad news going on in the world lately. So we got to start finding the good and the bad. Okay, so if you have any type of news stories you'd like to send me, as long as they're current events, I'll take a look at them and see about adding them into my news stories. Anyways, you guys, I love you, and I will see you on the next one. Oh, and remember to tell somebody you love them. Remember, tomorrow is not promised. Anyways, you guys, I love you, and I'll see you on the next one.